9 o'clock. Is that 9 o'clock? 9 o'clock? 1 minute to 9, 9 o'clock. Good morning, members. Good morning, everybody. We're just going to give a few seconds. Mr. Davids, are we 9 o'clock? Just waiting.
Chairperson, is a minute to 9, Chair. Yes, Chair. And the meeting is fully recorded, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So let us start with just welcoming everybody on this wet and cold day on a Friday. And we're just going to do some introductions. And I'm just going to allow, my name is Fernan Christians. I'm a chairperson of the Standing Committee on Public Accounts. With me is Mr. Dustin Davids, our procedural officer. I'm just going to give some of the members opportunity to introduce themselves, and then we will go over to the Minister and Department. Over to you, members.
Morning, everybody. My name is Benedicta van Binnen. I'm a member of this committee.
Good morning, Chair, and everybody. I'm Leon van Wyk, a member of this committee.
Good morning, Chair, and everybody that's on the chat. My name is Petronella Lecker, and I'm a member of this committee. Thank you.
Morning, Chair. My name is Nomin Kondlo. I'm an alternate to this committee.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Johnson, permanent member of this committee.
I think that's all the members that's present. Can I hand over to the Minister and the Department for introductions?
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to all the honourable members. My name is David Mania. I'm the Minister of Education. I'm joined by my Head of Department, Brent Walters, and a full team from the Department of Education. And through you, Chair, I'll allow Brent to introduce himself and the team. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good morning. My name is Brent Walters, HOD for the WCD. If I could just ask Mr. Eli, Mr. Roddeston, and the seniors to introduce themselves, and some of the others who are on the line, Mr. PC and others, to please introduce themselves. Thank you, Chairperson.
Good morning, Chairperson. Leon Eli, the CFO for Education Department. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson and the honorable members. Zukisani MPC, Acting Chief Director, Financial Management. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson. Bertram Lauriston, Deputy Director General for Curriculum and Assessment Management. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairperson and colleagues. Heather van Ster, Chief Director Districts, currently Acting DDG of IDC. Thanks. Good morning, all. I'm Leslie McGlenn, Chief Director Physical Resources, Acting DDG Planning.
Good morning, members and Chair. Ian De Vega, Chief Director for Business Intelligence Management.
Good morning. Good morning, members and Chair. It's Washila Sale. I'm Director Internal Control. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
I think that's our team.
Thank you very much. I see Member Mbombo joined us. Member joined Bombo. Do you just want to greet us? Member Normal Friends Bombo. I see Member Said is also in the meeting, and member the other members that did not introduce themselves. Can you just do?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Morning, Chair. Morning, members. Morning, Department. Thank you very much.
Morning, Chair, and the officials and the Minister. This is Khalid Sayed. Member of the Education Standing Committee. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair and colleagues. It's Basil Petrus.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davids, do we have people from AXA here in the meeting?
Honorable Chairperson, yes, I saw the business leader for the Western Cape. Madam Callan is in the meeting, Chair.
Yes, can AXA just introduce themselves? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson, and to the Honourable Minister. Good morning to the Honourable members as well. My name is Singita Callan. I'm the Business Unit Leader in the Western Cape. I've got with me Thomas Mamogwe, who is my Deputy Business Unit Leader, and Sebulon Africa, who's the Senior Manager on the audit of the department. And supporting us is also my stakeholder liaison, which is Zini Mvembeli and Tsepo as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Davids, we've received the access report very, very late. Is it I think members only received it this morning, am I right?
Yes, Chairperson. But Chairperson, this was a presentation that was actually done to the committee last year, October, Chairperson. So the actual crux of the information is on the last slide, Chairperson, for the committee's attention, Chairperson. It's basically just an update from what the AG found and where the AG is currently with the department, Chairperson, in terms of the audit findings.
But why did we? Okay, Member Basil Petrus, he's got his hand up. Member Petrus, over to you.
Yes, you are right, Chairperson. Even so, why did we receive it only now?
Is there any other members that have a problem with receiving documents this morning? It is. I want to thank the Education Department for sending theirs timelessly. But even if we've done it October, it's time to prepare. It takes a lot of time to prepare for these meetings, and if you receive it early hours of the morning, it's a problem. So I'm going to give Member Syed opportunity to raise his opinion, and then I will give the AG then opportunity to answer. Member Syed.
Yes, Chair. Whilst not a member of this particular committee, let me also raise concern. I mean, we've raised concern even in the Standing Committee on Education about the department and the lack of timeous submission of presentation. Now, this time around, we're finding it, I mean, from another entity. I think it's not acceptable, and we need to make sure that members have enough time to familiarize themselves with presentations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Syed. I'm going to give the AG opportunity to just explain.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson. I think from our side, a humble apology for having released it to the procedural officer's office very late. I think we will definitely do better next time. We did have a few hiccups in terms of finalization of the purpose of the meeting, but really do apologize from our side. Chair, I can maybe perhaps suggest that we do the document in detail for the benefit of the members, because it will allow them to refresh their memories around what was presented and then do the update. But I think from our side, really humble apologies. We will strive that we do not have late submissions in future. Thank you, Chair.
No, thank you very much for that. Members, is it okay with you? Can we then accept the documentation, and then they'll do the second briefing? I'm going to give the Education Department, the WCED, opportunity to do that. Is members fine if we continue? Because I was of the opinion maybe we just need to ask the WCED to present and then give AXA other opportunity for members. But if members is comfortable with the AXA, then I'm happy with that. Either ways, I remember Johnson said it's okay. Members are so they're going to present, but I mean, we cannot allow this to happen all the time. But fine, I do, Ms. Cullen, I do also take your apology, and there's no other members with their hands up. So I'm going to give over to the Minister just to give us some introductory remarks, and then we will get into the presentation of the WCED. Thank you. Minister, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Obviously, it gives us a great pleasure to present to SCOPA on the AXA audit findings and the remedial actions which the department has taken and which we will set out in detail in our presentation. So through you, Chair, I'd like to hand over to Brent Walters and to the team to take us through the presentation. And of course, we stand ready to take questions from the committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Minister.
Sorry.
Thank you, Minister. Over to you, HOD, Mr. Walters. Over to you.
Sorry, Chairperson. Apologies. Thank you very much. Mr. De Vega will be doing the presentation for us as a team. But I think just in my opening remarks on the presentation, Chairperson, I just perhaps want to set the scene and say that in terms of our inclusion of indicators, whether we include it or not inside our annual performance plan, I think we need to take into account that the AG has very specific requirements around what we need to measure when we put the indicator into the annual performance plan. And, you need to look through a number of things. What is the source of your data? How do you collect that data? How do you verify the data? And so when you have indicators, it's not just about putting the indicator down with a target. There is a whole framework that indicates through indicators what you need to actually have in place to be able to have the measurement of your performance against that target. And so, as you will see from the presentation of Mr. De Vega, we were struggling with that because there were no indicator descriptions tables that we could actually refer to be able to include indicators. And so therefore we had to do something else. And Mr. De Vega will explain what that is. Obviously, as these things matured, Chairperson, because remember these are national indicators, as it matured, that indicator development did take place. But when we're looking at this period, which we're talking about, those things were not in place at the time. And so we did something else, and AG made a finding on it. And this is why we're in front of the committee today. I wanted to say that because I think Mr. De Vega will then talk through how we got to where we are, and also what are the steps we actually took. And because the idea is not to have a repeat finding on that matter. So let me hand over to Mr. De Vega. Thanks, Ian.
Thank you, Mr. Walters. Chair, may I proceed?
You may proceed. Thank you very much.
Just going to get the presentation up. Please indicate if you can see the presentation.
We can see it.
Yeah. Let's put it in presenter mode. So thank you, Chair, for the opportunity and members for me to present the presentation to the Public Accounts Committee. The table of contents is really looking at giving some background to what Mr. Walters has already tried to sketch in detail. And then
apologies for that, Chair. I'll just mute.
Just mute, yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that mic. Thank you, Chair. Apologies.
Yep. And then to review the PAC's resolution, also go into detail with regards to the AG's audit finding and then the remedial actions that the department took in terms of resolving this matter. So just in background, it's important to note that the medium-term strategic framework of 2019 to 24 has been replaced by the medium-term development plan 2024-2029. So MTSF, as the medium-term strategic framework, has come to and end in terms of the replacement of MTDP, and MTDP serves as the 5-year strategic plan for the 7th administration in South Africa under GNU, which was formed in 29th of May 2024, after following the general election of 29 May 2024. This MTDP, as well as the MTSF, were seen as implementation frameworks for the NDP, which was the vision of South Africa for 2030, and it aligns to its goals with emphasis on with emphasis on the development outcomes and economic growth. So, and also to note that the MTSF was the kind of 5-year strategic plan for the 6th administration of government. For the education sector, the MTSF set specific goals and indicators to improve various aspects of education, including access, quality, and outcomes. And when we crafted our strategic plan, as well as the subsequent APPs that talks to these strategic plans, with indicators within our APP did reflect MTSF 2019 to 24 indicators, but not all. And there's a rationale behind that. We also aligned as a sector. Every year we have standardized output indicators, and these were also embedded within our APPs, and we basically ensured that we then contribute to the sector's outcomes and goals as well as the frameworks in terms of the MTSF. Planning budgets are also then integrated process with regards to the revised framework for strategic plans, APPs, which was then issued by DPME to provide guidance for departments, and we used that when we actually prepared our APP for 24-25. So important to note is that all the outcomes, planned activities, outputs, and targets in the MTSF have been at a systems level perspective for DBE as the lead education sector. And this is an important point. So the achievement of which is dependent on actions at the DBE level before the PEDS can implement. So just an example, coding and robotics. If we take coding and robotics, as a department, we could not implement that because there was no curriculum to implement. And that was one of the indicators that, was within the MTSF, one of the indicators. We'll highlight the rest later. So as a lead, DBE had to ensure that there were technical indicator data sets, a curriculum in place, as well as an indicator that speaks to it, so that as a sector for the country, we could then be able to give effect to this indicator within the MTSF. The APP 2024-25, which was submitted to all relevant stakeholders, so that's Provincial Treasury, Department of the Premier, as well as DBE, including Provincial Legislature in March 2024. And then the APP also was made available publicly via the link provided. So in terms of the PAC resolution, a briefing by WCD to PAC and the Standing Committee on Education on its strategic plans to the indicators and objectives that will be addressed to prevent a recurrence of similar findings. So in terms of the audit finding, the department contributes to and is responsible for the achievement of objectives linked to priorities outlined in the revised medium strategic framework. However, some indicators to measure performance of these objectives were omitted from the approved planning documents. Consequently, the achievement of these objectives were not planned and accounted for, which is likely to result in it not being delivered or under transparency and accountability on the progress towards achievement of the revised medium-term strategic framework. And We've basically highlighted within the report the indicators that was noted that were not included within the annual performance plan, as well as the annual performance report. So the finding goes on to say that the department contributes to and is responsible. It feels like it's a repeat, but it also then goes on to say that the accounting officer indicates that this was because management is dependent on the education sector to develop technical indicator descriptions for inclusion and implementation of the annual performance plan. Consequently, the achievement of this objective was not planned and accounted for by DBE, as well as the sector as a whole, which is likely to result in it not being delivered. It further undermines transparency and accountability on the progress towards achievement of the revised medium-term strategic framework. And then this was another indicator that should have been included as well. So the remedial actions that WCED took, we have looked at the AG findings in detail. We've workshopped it with the sector as well as part of the HEDCOM subcommittee. And we've basically, as a department, then included all MTSF indicators in the annual, as part of the in-year amendments in our annual performance plan for 24-25 that was submitted to the provincial legislature on the 27th of November, and we've made some amendments again on the 26th of March 2025. We've consulted with DBE, with DPME, DOTP, as well as Gauteng Education. And the reason why we've engaged Gauteng Education Department was because they were the only province that received a clean audit, and we basically wanted to understand how they've overcome the MTSF issue. And so we've got guidance in terms of how to include the MTSF indicators in the APP within the performance tables. Important to note that WCED did include all the MTSF indicators. However, it was as an annexure in the annual performance report. And the AG felt that the annexure itself could not be audited. It had to be within the actual performance tables. So we did give performance to each of the MTSF indicators, but it was as an annexure within the annual report. It was annexure E from page 345 of our annual report, where we've provided progress against the MTSF indicators. Subsequent to that, we've did the in-year amendments as previously told. So currently, there are mechanisms in place to measure and review performance outcomes against targets, supported by a comprehensive auditable evidence portfolio. Each MTSF indicator that was added to the APP within our performance tables are supported by documented business processes. All evidence is stored in a centralized online repository to ensure auditability, together with all the other indicators that we manage and monitor and evaluate. We have linked responsibility managers to each of the MTSF indicators that was included in the APP, and this approach ensures continuous performance monitoring, clear accountability, and maintain an auditable evidence trail throughout the department. And then the output and performance of the MTSF indicators in the APP 2024 it's currently within the pre-audited draft annual performance report to provide transparency on the progress towards the achievement of national service delivery priorities, and is currently under with the auditor as well. And then final slide, Chair. So WCED in its current provincial strategy, Western Cape Education Department strategy, as well as our APP, have included all MTDP indicators. We've also aligned the MTD priorities, to the provincial strategic plan, as well as the provincial strategic implementation plan for the sector. And we've done this to ensure that we prevent the recurrence of similar findings in the AOP space, or the audit of predetermined objectives. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Members, that is the presentation. I think I'll hand over to members for questions, and then I will ask the HOD then to answer, and then the Minister can also then answer. Members, I see one hand in the meantime. I see Honourable Member Nokontlo. I'm just checking for other hands. That's the only hand at the moment. Member Nokontlo, over to you for your question. Thank you very much.
Chair, it's not in the presentation as yet. I wanted to check whether are we not going to allow also AG to do the presentation, because these are, I mean, the presentation is on the basis of what AG would have said, and I saw that they have a presentation. I'm not sure whether it is just that presentation was meant to just jog our memory of what was the issue. They are not necessarily going to present, and they would also be allowed, if not presenting, they would also be allowed if we've got specific questions to the AG, you know, in this discussion. Maybe please guide on that before I can ask my questions.
No, I think it's Member Lekker. Before I think we're going to go that route. I think we can give the AG opportunity. They are going to. They don't have to give us slides 1 to 5, because 1 to 5 it's just who they are. But the meat on the bone starts from slide 6. And as I said, you know, members, we only got that this morning, but I think it will give some context and it will help us going forward. I think that is the way to go, Member Nokontlo. I think that you're right. Let's give the AG opportunity. But Member Pat Lekker, just to hear from you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good morning once again. I was definitely going to say the same, because there seems to be a correlation between what is presented or it has already been presented by the department and perhaps to what the AG has to say in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We're all on the same page. AG, over to you. We're going to listen to your presentation, and then we'll go take the questions afterwards. Members, are you all fine with that? Just give me a thumbs up, and I think that makes logical sense. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. AG, over to you.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. So I think from our side, we will then take the members. We take guidance around not covering some of the slides in the beginning, which every member and chairperson is familiar with. We'll go into the matters. I think it's also important for me to indicate that the audit for 24-25 is currently underway. So we can just give you an update in terms of that, but I'm going to allow my senior manager, Sabulon Africa, to then do the presentation. Chair, with your permission, thank you.
Thank you very much. You may proceed.
Good morning, Chair and the committee. As indicated, the request was just to go from slide 6, and as correctly said, that the briefing document basically just reflects on the prior year in terms of the issues at hand, which mainly relates to the material matters that was reported in the audit report last year, and the one matter in program 2 relates to, first of all, reliability of indicators in terms of the systems in place did not ensure that and prevent errors in the population that was reported. So that was the first finding, and that relates to indicator SOI 207 and 208. We have received commitments from the department to improve those processes, and that is currently being evaluated as part of the audit process. Then the second matter that was material, as indicated by Mr. De Vega, was the matter relating to the MTSF indicators that were not included, which we reported last year. As indicated, the department has come up with a plan as to what they will do. We are also in the process of evaluating that. What I just want to emphasize, so if you can look at the last slide, which is slide 10. So what we did is after the audit, we had engagement with the client and also with the MEC, where we engage around what can the department do in terms of improving the matter. We then agreed on key recommendations, and then the department committed to those key recommendations. And we got those commitments on the 4th of October from the department. And now they also then provided us early this year, as part of this year's audit process, what the progress is with regard to the commitments. And we are in the process now of evaluating and looking whether that is sufficient in terms of the current year audit outcome. What I also just want to mention, in addition to just the requirements relating to how we go about considering where the indicators should be included, when we do, as part of the audit, we do consider the framework for managing of program performance information. That's the FMPPI. We also then consider the revised framework for strategic plans and annual performance plans, which is issued by National Treasury. Both of these frameworks are issued by National Treasury. And that basically, in essence, sets the tone for us and sets the requirements for the AG to consider whether, in fact, an indicator should be included in the APP of a department. And the specific requirements in the two frameworks that speaks to why indicators should be included. So, for example, in the FSAPP, that's the Framework for Strategic Plans and Annual Performance Plans, paragraph 2.5, it does say that the Intergovernmental Relations Framework Act states that the three spheres of government are distinctive, independent and interrelated. However, they must plan together the utilization of scarce resources and the achievement of government priorities. The next part speaks to paragraph 2.5.1 that basically says it prescribes the intergovernmental planning is critical to ensuring that integrated planning between the spheres of government for improved service delivery, coordination and participation and joint planning by all spheres of government are needed to achieve the results envisioned in the NDP and the MTSF. So just to emphasize these examples, that's where we come from in terms of, first of all, what does the framework say, and then we look at the MTSF, and then we consider whether in fact the department in fact has reported on that. We also communicated to the department in the prior year that this planning, the intergovernment planning, obviously then is around DBE and the provincial education departments, where the DBE has not for specific MTSF reported or have systems in place or set systems in place for their particular indicators to be reported on that's noted in the MTSF, the provincial departments should then ultimately have the responsibility to then implement and create systems and that to implement those indicators. So just wanted to create that context as to where these findings originate from in terms of the MTSF indicators. So it's not the AG specific requirement relating to MTSF. It comes straight from the framework leading up to what is in the MTSF, and then reporting on it, ensuring that, in terms of the NDP, the ultimate objectives are achieved by the National Development Plan. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. De Vega. AG, is there anything that you want to add to it? Ms. Cullen?
No, thank you, Honourable Chair. I think that is the presentation on our side, as indicated, that it is important for us to set the scene and give you that feedback. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Members, if you ask the questions, then please direct it. If you direct it to the AG, if you direct it to the department, let's do that. I've got Member Nkontlo's hand, and then I'll take other hands as it comes. But Member Nkontlo, you first. Thank you very much.
No, thank you, Chair, and thank you to both the AG and the department. I want to start, Chair, where the AG has ended, and in both, maybe to start with the department, because I think what the department says in its response to the AG is to actually present their performance reporting limitations to, non-guidance, as it were, from a national department. And I'm interested to know, in the MTDP now, as they talk about the MTDP and the improvements, how has that been resolved as an issue of joint planning, joint consensus and agreement on the technical descriptors, so that you don't say later, that no, I did not know because the lead department did not provide us, the requisite performance indicators on a particular objective. So I would like to understand whether that, as the department is coming to us now, has that been resolved? Because then it says to us, we are not going to have this particular problem again. So that's the first question I just want to understand to the department. Secondly, is that what are the challenges of the department as it relates to exactly what the AG is raising on integrated planning? Because the department sits in MinMax, I'm sure the HOD sits in whatever engagement. What are the challenges that seemed, and I'm saying in the past, coming now into the GNU space, what are the challenges that seems to inhibit integrated planning between the department and the lead department, which is a national department of basic education? Thirdly, to the department, when there is, and I'm asking the minister, when there is a situation where the accounting officer, in as far as performance information and indicators are concerned, and those that particular area of work, as the AG has raised in 2021, 2022, and again in the 2023-2024, what has the accounting authority done, in engaging the very accounting officer responsible for performance reporting, and also not just compliance in performance reporting, but the successful implementation, of objectives. So I'm interested to just understand that ecosystem from a process point of view. I've not even started on the actual content, just on a process, so that one can be comfortable that we're not going to see the repeat as it has been in the books of the AG's report in the past. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I just want to add to that. I don't see any hands yet, but I'll allow for after the answering of questions from the department and the AG. Just exactly what Member Korto said, that also came to mind. I just want to find out also, and maybe it's the department and the AG can maybe answer this. Mr. De Wyker mentioned, they had robotics, and there was no curriculum, and waited for the department, for the national department, if I understand that correctly. But now the AG is saying, listen, if you don't have systems, you must then create systems and put systems in place where there's no system. So I just want to also know now, the engagement with the AG during the year, the engaging with the audit committee, engaging with the national department. If I see I don't have a curriculum for robotics or whatever the case may be, and I know that that's going to be a finding that is that going forward, I have a problem. I need to engage with somebody to tell me, listen, what is the direction here? If it's a national department, what do we do? This will be a finding. And also, how did the department, how Gauteng got it right if the Western Cape didn't get it right? What did you learn from them? Maybe just in detail, just give us, that, and then we can ask for the next round of questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chairperson. Should we respond?
Please, HOD, I'm first going to give the department opportunity and then the AG opportunity. Thank you very much.
Okay, so Mr. De Vega will give detail, Chairperson, but I just want to say to you that I think the difficulty is curriculum is a co-competency. And so obviously we have to go hand in hand with the DBE. And there were many meetings where provinces were actually indicating their limitations on some of the topics. Mr. De Vega mentioned one example, but there are others as well. Because obviously, I think the members appreciate that in education, it's very hard to make sudden moves quickly. Things take time to build, and if you don't have the education infrastructure in place from point of view of curriculum, of the teachers, of whether your distribution is correct, how many schools are doing it. If you don't have that in place, you have to build it over time, Chairperson. So when it came to these MTSF indicators, there were workshops held, and the provinces did indicate their concerns. The way we looked at it is an ever-maturing environment. And so we looked at it as an ever maturing environment. And, you asked a very hard question, can we give you a guarantee that the AG won't make findings on X, Y, and Z? We can't give you that guarantee, Chairperson. The reason we can't give you that guarantee is because yesterday's framework of inspection of the department is not the same as today's. What I mean by that is the AG may come with something else that we wouldn't have thought of. There are certain questions last year, and we can answer those questions now, but they're new questions. And so we cannot give you that guarantee. The only assurance I can give the committee is that we have done everything in our power to make sure that we do not get a repeat finding on this particular matter, well, on any matter, but we're talking about this particular matter now. And Mr. De Vega has this task at top of his agenda for the past year on trying to make sure that, he puts in place the systems that make sure we don't get a repeat finding. And that's assurance I can give the committee. It's like we do take it very seriously, and we do try and do what we need to do. But I can't guarantee, Chairperson, because that was one of the questions. I can't guarantee. I mean, we've done what we believe is correct. Obviously, the AG is still evaluating at this point. But Mr. De Vega, maybe you want to just talk a little bit more to any detail that you want to give to Scoper, please. Mr. De Vega. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Just to respond, in terms of the MTDP and whether there's been any improvements. So as a sector, we have HEDCOM subcommittees, which reports into the HEDCOM and then into KEM. So the HEDCOM subcommittee on planning, monitoring and evaluation has all the provinces together with DBE and DPME and some of the research organizations also present on this platform. And we robustly engage on the indicators that we need to collect, how these indicators are framed, and with the MTDP, which was slightly different to the MTSF. MTDP, we've got an early engagement in terms of ensuring that all the provinces could give valuable input, ensure that the targets are realistic, that it's based on some scientific calculations, and ensure that it is actually achievable and not something that is aspirational. And therefore, there is joint planning, and we are allowed to give input on the MTDP process. With regards to the MTSF, there was a lot that we required DBE to first implement before we could. I mean, we cannot implement coding and robotics without a curriculum. We can do it as an external or a extramural activity, but not formally implemented in its full implementation as highlighted within the MTSF context. So we've to a large extent resolved a lot of the engagements. And just to give context on the MTSF context issues as well, Funza Lushaka was one of the indicators that was problematic, and we've engaged at the HEADCOM subcommittee level on this matter to the extent that the DG wrote to the provinces to inform us to exclude the Funza Lushaka indicator out of the our APPs and our strategic plans because of the complexity and the challenges that provinces have had. And the challenges are, you know, there was a reliance on higher education institutions to give us the way it was audited. Higher education institutions should provide us with certificates. Then we've got NSFAS that had to provide us with confirmation that they were bursary holders, and then the actual list of the teachers that were assigned to the provinces was also problematic. So there was major problems and major dependencies with regards to the action indicator. But in our engagements, we've managed to resolve these type of issues. So I can only see us planning much better going forward in terms of the MTDPs, but also as part of the strategic or the sector output objectives or outcome objectives as well, the SOIs, which also did not include all the MTSF indicators and should have. And therefore, going forward, we'll ensure that the MTDP indicators are reflected within the SOIs, and therefore there's technical indicator descriptions for us to be able to collect these in a standardized manner within the sector. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. De Vega. HOD, do you want to add something to that? Minister, do you want to add something? Or can I give the HA opportunity?
I'm covered. I don't know if the minister wants to add.
Thank you very much. AG, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I'm going to allow Sebulon to come in and answer. Thanks.
Yes. So I just want to emphasize from the AG's perspective, and that is important in terms of the sector, that we also from our side, you know, as a sector, audit and ensure that there is obviously consistency and that we influence from the perspective of DBE, the engagements that's held between DBE versus the provincial education departments to ensure alignment in terms of what is being reported and what is not reported. So just from our side, so that is also what we do on our side. But then as well, I just want to make an example because that's what Mr. De Vega was referring to, was the coding and robotics MTS indicator. So we received a management's response to that, and yes, correctly so, the curriculum was only approved for inclusion the 7th of June, the Government Gazette 5767. It was only approved at that time, and we took that into account for this specific indicator, and you will see in the audit report it was not included as a completeness finding. So when we do look at these various indicators, we look at them on case-by-case basis. We take into account the various realities, what is facing the department. But this is just an example where, for example, we do take into account the circumstances. So from an audit perspective, we nationally we do consider sector-wide, and we at DBE we also engage and want to see that there is better alignment between the DBE and the provincial departments. And then when we do evaluate in the provincial department's audit specifically, we consider the circumstances in terms of what is happening and what is viable, and then we take that into account in concluding whether in fact it should be reported or not. So just wanted to give that context. Thanks.
Thank you very much. Members, is there questions? Any further questions? No, Kontlo, I see your hand. I see no other hands. No, Kontlo, you can go.
No, thank you, Chair. Perhaps the limitation of this conversation, and maybe we must consider it for future, Chair. In the spirit of GNU, we should have invited the DPE to this conversation, so that if we talk alignment, we and it is said that the culprit in the room is DPE, in as far as planning ecosystem is concerned, that DPE is in the room to speak for itself, because then the information is incomplete, of what we receive if that party is not part of the conversation. Maybe in the spirit of GNU, we should actually do the very thing of including the DPE to be part of the conversation, so that we can then get the assurance, if the guarantees cannot be provided, the assurance that, also at the level of DPE, we're not going to get back to be told that, a DPE on their end could not do what was necessary to get the system going. And I'm grateful that AG, as they say, that because they also interact with DPE, they are able to do the very thing. One last question in terms of the past, because now we're talking about what we would anticipate, assuming with the assurances given that we're not going to get back to this. The one question I want to ask, and I'm asking the minister, and he did not answer in the first round, is that in relation to these instances where there were material findings in terms of performance reporting, were any performance bonuses paid to the senior managers, including the HOD, during both the 2021-2022 and 2023-2024, wherein these particular performance reporting findings were made by the AG? And how would that, if those performance bonuses were paid, how did that impact on the senior managers that are responsible for this particular function? So I'm asking this specific question because I understand, performance bonuses are linked to performance outputs, and the very individuals who at senior management are responsible for those functions. So I'm interested to understand that. The second one, Chair, I just want to check if we go back to those very indicators, because my assumption, and I must be corrected if I'm wrong, my assumption is that part of what the AG is responsible for is actually compliance with legislation, which such legislation at this point has not changed because of MTSF or MTDP, in particular in as far as the Schools Act is concerned, and what are the policy imperatives that must be delivered to create the very education outcomes that we require as a country. So if we look at what is in the department's presentation, I think from slide 11 in my computer, that speaks about these particular indicators. If one were to just take one of them, just to understand the number of schools that are offering a previously marginalized official African language, I'm interested to know, in this MTDP and in the outcomes, what exactly would this would be an indicator, in the MTDP context now, of this particular objective, and how the Western Cape plans, both in terms of funding, has put money to realize this particular objective that is set here. Are these things in practical terms? I'm saying, I'm using this one. We can even take what the department in slide 13, the number of children age 0 to 8 provided screening or support services for developmental delays and or disability. So if we're to be told here, if we're gonna then help ourselves in preparation for the audit, and the department says, they have actually, in their remedial, they've actually integrated these, in their APP. So if we could be assisted by the HOD and the team to say all of these indicators, if we can be given, how do we look at them? How are we going to find them in the APP that they have shared with us, so that we can be able to see it very nicely that actually that particular integration now is done, and the assurance given by the HOD actually has a basis for us to sort of have confidence on. So I'm interested to understand how are these in the current now, have been actually explained in terms of the very indicators that will enable us to monitor the performance of the department in these provisions that are in the Schools Act. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Member Nokondlo. I see Member Van Minen. Over to you, Member Van Minen.
Yes, thank you. Good morning. I don't want to ask an unfair question of the department, but this is something that has also come up to a certain extent in health. What is the effect essentially on the provinces and the provinces' audit outcomes when the centralized system of national government essentially is faltering and not able to provide the information or the indicators required, like in a case like this? So it's all good and well that provinces do everything they can, but when what they're getting and the support they're getting and the indicators they should be getting from the national system is failing, how are they able in the provinces, or in this province in particular, to then compensate for that so that they can actually achieve the results that they are supposed to do? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Member Van Minen. Member Basil Petrus, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, my question is, what will the impact be on the education system and the learners of the Western Cape if we don't manage these indicators effectively?
Thank you very much, Member Peters. And I just want to throw the last question in. Maybe the HOD can maybe just give us an answer on this. We have written in our letter of invite to say that please invite the department, the National Department of DBE, also to the meeting, because you have the contacts, you know exactly who are the persons that are responsible for certain programs. We won't know who to invite from DBE. You know exactly. Maybe just to give us explanation why you thought it's not necessary to also have DBE in this meeting. Thank you very much. Over to you, HOD and Minister.
Okay, so Chairperson, I would like to follow up on why DBE wasn't invited. I don't have the letter of invite in front of me, but I will undertake to come back to you on that question, Chairperson. On the agenda, we obviously tried to respond to what the agenda was about. So if there was an oversight on our part, I do apologize. I agree with the point that that was made, that in terms of the DBE, if there are matters which affect the DBE, I don't see a problem with inviting the DBE to a meeting like this. So let me just, I think, maybe indicate that. Mr. De Vega obviously also answer some of the questions that that were asked about by the three members, but I just want to say that I think just on the finding issue, Chairperson, it was asked by the member about the finding. If a finding is made nationally, who takes the responsibility? If the finding is made overall and it's in our domain of control, then we have to take the responsibility. That is essentially what the past 2 years have been about. In other words, that we should agree with the DBE about what are the targets and how we can, are they specific, measurable, achievable, can we get to where we need to be able to report on those targets. So yeah, I just perhaps wanted to say that, but I'll ask the Minister maybe to come in. If the Minister can just maybe answer one or two questions that were pointed at the Minister, and then Mr. De Vega to just answer some of the other questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson. No performance bonuses have been paid to, I think, senior officials, to the best of my knowledge, for quite a few years. But the point that has been raised, which I think we've got to confront, is that the situation that we are sort of deliberating on this morning arises out of flaws in the system and system weaknesses. I mean, the DBE are not capable of identifying TDIs for their own indicators. And it's all very well to then say that the Provincial Education Department must essentially, construct their own TDIs. But that, with respect, is not a solution, because then the monitoring of those indicators across provinces is inconsistent. I think what is positive is clearly in the MTDP environment. The HEDCOM subcommittee is now, as Mr. Ian de Vega has said, engaging robustly, and it seems that the system is strengthening, and I think that will go a long way to mitigating risk. But it's precisely because of that I do support the Honourable Nomin Kondlo's proposal that DBE be included in future meetings, because at least when it, in my view, when it comes to the MTSF environment, DBE are the root cause of the problem, and that does need to be tackled and dealt with.
Thank you, Minister. I just want to hear, before the department proceed, Mr. De Vega, Member Syed, is that a question for the next round, or is it something that you want to say now, Member Syed?
It's a question for this round, Chair. And I'm
No,
about
but
to
just
leave
wait.
for another meeting. It was
No.
my hand was up based on this response. Yeah.
But we just wait for all the answers, then I'll give you the first opportunity after that.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank
you. HOD?
I just wanted to ask Mr. De Vega, Chairperson, if you can just, if there's anything he wants to add.
So I think the bit where if DBE does not, then it's exactly what the Minister has said. As a sector, we're trying to align and report cohesively. We also, at various subcommittees, HEDCOM subcommittees, provide reports on either biannual or a quarterly basis to DBE that then collects all this information centrally, on behalf of the department. But while we basically developing the TEDs and developing the output indicators commensurate to that. With regards to the MTDP and the process going forward, just to give assurance, in the past, the MTSF had up to 38 indicators that we had to respond to. The current indicator data set for that we're discussing now for MTDP only has 6. It's 6 high-level, impactful indicators that will genuinely take the organization forward. It is learner-centered, and we and when we do develop our strategies and our annual performance plans, that we put the learner at the center of everything we do, focusing on learning outcomes, access to education, and obviously the quality of teaching. Thanks, Chair.
Actually, I think there's a question asked by Member Petrus. Does it affect I think he said, the learners, the education of our learners? He asked something in that area. These indicators, does it impact on our learners?
Chairperson, remember now that the indicators are a chopstick into everything that the department does. I'm talking about nationally now and provincially. So clearly those indicators will have an effect, Chairperson, but it's not, remember, it's not everything we're doing in the indicators. not everything we're doing is in those indicators. Remember, these are just the highlighted ones, given the priorities of the department. So I think the short answer would be yes, it does actually improve the learning outcomes, because clearly it keeps us accountable to make sure that we do the things that we actually indicate that we should do. But remember that the education system, Chairperson, it's got a wide syllabus with many subjects, and then many things. And what the indicators are, they call indicators was a given indication of whether we are winning or losing. So I guess the short answer is yes, the indicators do contribute to better outcomes, teaching and learning, but they're not necessarily on their own the only thing that contributes to better outcomes for teaching and learning. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Member Syed, over to you.
Thank you, Chair. I hear the response from the department on the issue around DBE not being given. I just want to get a sense, what was the reason for DBE not being called, given that there was an invitation? But I think beyond that, I think it's a point that I want to make. Given this particular dissonance that we find and the issues that the department is raising, and within the context of the medium-term development plan and the GNU arrangement, because I don't want to get too much into politics, because remember Van Minden got into some of it, I thought let me do the same. I wanted to just indicate that now more than ever, it becomes important to have a much more integrated stance on these matters. So it's important that in the next engagement, Chair, we make every effort that the department nationally is also part of this discussion and that the WCED brings them along. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Syed. I'm going to give I'm not going to give the HOD over here, but I don't want to answer this. The HOD did say he will look into the matter, and it will be part of our resolutions after this, just to ask the department why DBE was not part of this meeting. So it was in our invitation letter, but the HOD answered that. But I see the Minister want to respond. Minister?
Yes, thank you, Chair, and thank you for the contribution from the Honourable Khalid Syed. I think, I mean, particularly in the MTSF environment, we've had a frank discussion about the weaknesses about in the system and how that to some extent compromised the audits, not just in this province but in other provinces. I think just we should bear in mind that although there were weaknesses, at least on the version provided to us by Mr. Ian De Vega, the system is strengthening. In the MTDP environment, as he has said, with fewer indicators, a functional HEDCOM subcommittee, which is now obviously robustly dealing with some of these technical matters and reducing risk. And I think we should bear that in mind. But still, I do agree with the original proposal from Nomin Kondlo that DBE should be part of these future deliberations. That's probably a long way of saying that it appears that the system is moving in the right direction.
Thank you very much, Minister. HOD, did you want to say something? Your hand was up.
No, I think I'm covered by the Minister, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, HOD. Member Nkontlo, over to you.
Chair, can I request the department to answer my question on the specifics? I made reference to the actual indicators that are in slide 11 and ask specific questions. If they didn't get my question, I'm more than willing to repeat the question, but I'm just requesting for a response.
Thank you, Member Nkontlo. Yeah, you mentioned two, and I'm sure the HOD will be able to answer that. HOD, over to you.
Mr. De Vega, could I ask you, Mr. De Vega, are you on the line? Can I just ask you to just indicate here on slide 11, there were questions asked?
Yes, Chair. So the indigenous number of schools that are offering a previously marginalized official African language, that is in our APP 2025-26. It's part of the MTDP indicators as well, Chair. And I'm just trying to get the absolute name of the indicator for the committee. It's coming up. Apologies. So it's MTDP 701, Chair. Number of public ordinary schools that offer previously marginalized official language. That's under Program 7, Examination and Education Related Services. And this is an indicator within our performance tables, within our annual performance plan for 2025-26. Thanks, Chair.
Member Nkondlo?
Thank you, Chair. Perhaps what we're going to have to ask the department, and I appreciate that they said they had shared this with Parliament. I'm sure for the purpose of this discussion, I would want us to request the department that in all of those indicators, they send us the specifics, of their own indicators in the APP, so that we can read them for ourselves of what are the set targets against the very indicator, so that we understand where the department is at in as far as implementation of those indicators in anticipation, of the performance reporting, both the quarterly performance reporting and also the annual report. And I'm raising this, Chair, because you see, we must actually, because we are politicians ourselves, be very careful when there is a thin line to breach between, politics, with the administration in as far as planning for government service delivery. I'm raising this, Chair. Here in this country, there is law. The mere fact that we are arguing about a centralized versus a decentralized system, for me, is either here nor there. It's a discussion for another day, because that's not what we're discussing here. Here, we're discussing, a planning ecosystem. And that planning ecosystem, whether, the functions of delivering on the education outcomes could be decentralized to provinces. The ecosystem of planning is always going to have to be integrated, because you are not going to implement those outcomes alone as a province. You would either have to implement them with the schools, and the very generic questions that we're asking now are going to remain. So I think we must stop this thing of wanting to play politics and actually get the very administration, into our own politics as politicians, because we do have our own platform to debate politics. Here, for me, Chair, this issue that he said, now that we've moved from MTSF, now we're in MTDP, all things are hunky-dory. They are actually going to be, the proof of this is going to actually be in the outcomes, of the performance reporting that we're going to be seeing. Because what is important is always to understand integration. When you are operating in an environment where your plan are delivered by multifaceted stakeholders to ensure that all those particular parts of the systems, that's what a systems theory is about. There is always a system which works with other parts. So you don't say when you don't like the other part, you then throw the entire system that the problem is in the system, which is what I take from this conversation with what Minister is raising. It's like, no, now that we've got an MTDP, it's going to resolve all our problems. Because if in the planning, which this thing has always been there, it's in the Constitution that we must understand integrated planning. It's got nothing to do with whether, the thing is centralized or not. Integrated planning says you must plan, and if you are finding that the other part, is creating problems, raise it during in year, so that you don't only look at it at the later stage. So I just wanted to make that particular comment, Chair, and to ask that we get indeed the colleagues to send us all of these in the APP, just to specific how are the indicators in the province, in the APP, so that we're able to follow them, because our interest here is indeed the extent to which this recurrence on performance reporting, is not going to be there in the current annual report that we're going to be looking at. So I think that's my last comment in this conversation, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Member Mankondlo. That is all the members that asked the questions. Member Kondlo, you had, is that? No, that's fine. All that I want to say, I'm going to give the AG opportunity to do concluding remarks, then the HOD, and then the Minister. I think before I do that, I think this is why, we look at the annual reports and we try to improve, we try to assist, and we try to make somebody's microphone on. Member Pedler, yeah. No, I think that is why we have these engagements, also from outside, to ask pertinent questions to improve the system going forward, and also to understand what the department, what the AG is saying. Let us put it together and see from outside, and I think this is constructive engagements. We might disagree on certain things, but I think our hearts is all right. Our hearts is all the same. We want better outcomes. We want the best for our children. And Minister and HOD, I understand it's a huge department, and to juggle all the balls is quite an enormous task. But we also, from our side, we want to appreciate and thank you for what you are doing and taking the Western Cape forward. So thank you for the presentation. Thank you for being open and transparent. And like I said, we can have different views on certain things, but the objective is that we improve our systems and that we move forward and, don't have the reoccurrence of things that we see. So I think it was very productive. Over to you, Ms. Cullen, to do concluding remarks, and then I'll give the HOD and then the Minister. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honourable Chairperson and Honourable Members. Thank you for the opportunity for us to be able to present. I think for us, it's important that we do provide all areas in the accountability ecosystem, the insight, including the root causes. So our engagements are very robust at accounting officer level, at minister level, and we're very happy with the engagement today at oversight level. We do support in the sense that when we audit, we're auditing from the perspective of legislation, as well as the frameworks that have been set. And ultimately, there is that call for integration into the environment, hence where we've coined it the accountability ecosystem, to be able to work with each other, to be able to achieve what is set out in terms of service delivery. In terms of culture shift, ultimately our impact that we have is measured according to how best everyone fulfills their responsibility. So I think from our side, we are comfortable that we'll be able to engage and participate in this discussion this morning, and really do appreciate Honourable Chairperson and Member from accepting our apology. We will definitely again strive to not have late submissions of documents on our side. But thank you so much for the interaction.
Thank you very much. HOD.
Chairperson, just from my side, maybe to thank the members for the questions. And then I think for the members to hear from my side, our commitment to making sure that we understand these indicators, that we develop the data on them, that we keep the data sets, and all the other things that go with actual delivering, because this is the reporting side. What is very important for us is the delivery side as well. That actually we deliver to make sure that our children do get the best opportunity. And I wanted to give the committee the assurance that sometimes the department does stumble. It's never something that we do intentionally, Jay. We're always striving to better ourselves, so we're always open to taking comment from whatever quarter. whether it's the AG, the SCOPA, the oversight committees, all the partners we have, our unions, the SGB associations. We take all those comments into account and we try and do the best that we can. And the assurance that I think we must give the committee is that we take these things very seriously as a department, and we will make sure that we do everything in our power to so that the compliance stuff doesn't become an issue for the department. So let me thank the committee also for the spirit of the engagement. I think the questions were fair, and we obviously tried to answer them to the best of our ability. But thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, HOD. Minister, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson, and thank you to the honourable members for the engagement. I think we all understand that education is a concurrent power, which means that there will have to be a concurrent planning and cooperation between national government and provincial governments. I'm certainly not suggesting that everything is hunky-dory, but what I am suggesting, at least in the MTDP environment, that the system is strengthening, that the system is improving, and that the system is moving in the right direction. And I hope that that will be reflected in future audits of the Auditor General of South Africa. Thank you.
Thank you, Minister, and HOD and AXA. Thank you for all the officials that attended. We do appreciate your time and thank you for your inputs. You may be excused from the meeting. I'm just asking the members to stay behind so that we can do some administrative matters after this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Members.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Mr. Davids, what I'm going to ask you is just to get to give us the resolutions, and then the members can then add if you have omitted some of those, but usually you are very accurate with your summing up of the resolutions. So I'm going to hand over to you just to give us the resolutions, and then the members can add. Thank you, Mr. Davids.
Thank you, Honourable Chairperson. Chairperson, through you, Chairperson, what I've captured from the meeting, Chair, in my briefing notes, or in my notes that I've taken, Chair, on the meeting, it's basically where it is requested that the WCD send the committee a status of their own targets in respect of the performance indicators, where there were AGSA findings, Chairperson. So that's the one request for information. And then the other resolution, Chairperson, is that the department comes back with the DBE, Chairperson, just to engage on this matter of the audit findings, performance indicators, the national performance indicators that set by national Chairperson through DBE, and also regarding the NDTP, Chairperson, and that there's just a three-way briefing between the DBE, WCD, and the committee on this matter, Chairperson. Thank you.
I think first of all, and I agree with that, but first of all, I just wanted us to find out from them that we did ask them to invite DBE, which they have not done so. So, you know, that we just asked them, but I just want to ask the members, so I don't know if we need another meeting with DBE being present members. And I know Member Nkondlo was very strong on that. Member Nkondlo, did you want another meeting or in future? Because I think we've dealt with what we had to deal with. They have not invited DBE to the meeting, and we've asked them to do that. But let me just hear from Member Nkondlo. Member Nkondlo.
Greetings, Chair. Chair, for me, it would be important to close this loop that we still do invite DBE, so that the assurance given by the department, you know, of the improvement in the new framework of planning through the MTDP, can also be confirmed by DBE that indeed from the 30-something indicators to the now 8, in them, there is much more strengthened, with the term used by the minister, planning of our indicators. So I think it will be important to do that before we get to the annual report period, because for me it's important so that when we get there, we don't come back to the same argument and we say, hey, we wish we could have invited the department. If time allows, especially before the annual report, gets to be presented, let's consider that, Chair. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think that answers that. So we will have that meeting with DBE, and you are so right, though, that we don't have the same reoccurrence, and that we know exactly where we are. Mr. Davids?
Chairperson, thank you, Chair. Chair, also, Chair, in the same breath, I just wanted to find out from a logistics point of view. We've also requested, or the committee requested, that the audit committee of WCD also come and brief the committee on the same matter, on what their contributions were from a audit committee quarterly oversight point of view, Chairperson, which also did not occur today. So should the audit committee also be re-invited, Chairperson, to come and give a brief from their point of view?
I think we can combine the two. Then the education department is here because they need to be here when the audit committee briefs, and then DBE is here. So we can all join that in one. Join that in one.
Definitely.
Thank you. Is there any other request for documentation or anything, members, that you want to add? Is that sufficient? I don't see any hands, so I think that is sufficient. That the capturing, Member Van Wyk said that's fine. He's happy with that. So that concludes that, and then we just, Mr. David, just need to do the minutes of the 21st of May. Is that correct?
Yes, Chairperson. I'm just calling that minutes up, Chairperson.
Continue.
Can you see a Chairperson from your side?
Yes, we can.
Thank you, Chair. Chairperson, so just to walk you through the minutes, Chairperson, that was our last meeting on the 21st of May, Chair. The committee engaged with the Department of Infrastructure, Chair. All the members were present. There was an apology from Member Nkondlo, Chairperson, who could not attend, Chair, via Member Lecker, due to some personal challenges, Chair. Chairperson, then basically, as you can remember, Chair, the Department of Infrastructure briefed the committee through Advocate Chantal, the HOD of the department. Her surname, Advocate Chantal Smith, of the department, Chairperson. Chairperson, so they briefed the committee, Chair, and from that meeting, Chairperson, from that engagement, there was basically two resolutions, Chairperson, and it was one resolution and two requests for information, Chairperson. The first one was a report by the Department of Infrastructure on the challenges regarding its target indicators of title deed, of transfer of ownership, and whether any challenges exist in the deeds office. That was a resolution or a request from Member Van Binnen, Chairperson, and then also a report which indicates the number of companies that could not deliver infrastructure projects. That was Member Basil Petrus that raised that issue, Chair. And then, Chairperson, from yourself and from Member Lecker, Chair, it was just basically that a joint oversight meeting be held between the Department of Infrastructure and Local Governance to assess the delivery of houses in the Western Cape against the targets that were set by municipalities in the Western Cape, Chairperson. Chairperson, I've already sent an email to these two departments, Chairperson, on 3.3, just for preparatory reasons, Chairperson, so that if the committee does accept this minutes, Chairperson, that we can slot them in somewhere in August, Chair, to come and brief us on 3.3. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Can I get a proposer and seconder for the minutes of the meeting of the 21st? A proposer and a seconder. Is there nobody else? Nobody wants to propose a second? Johnson, you propose? And Member Johnson propose? Member Johnson? And Member Leon van Wyk then second.
Second.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that. That's done. Member, Mr. Davids, is that everything? Is that all?
Yes,
yeah.
Chairperson, that is everything, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, members. That is then the end of our meeting. Enjoy your weekend. I think it was, I see member Rachel Wormvogel was in the meeting. I just see a face and I didn't hear from her. So member Wormvogel, you are noted to be in the meeting, but enjoy your weekend and thank you very much. I think it was a productive and a robust meeting, and thank you and enjoy weekend. Meetings adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
you.